Hello there.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Sky Guys podcast. We can go ahead and continue our end of year celebration. We're going to go back 10 years, revisit The Force Awakens. It is 10 years since the movie's come out. Went back, we rewatched it, have some fresh takes on the movie this week. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Phillips. With me, as always, the man whose voice you hear in narration, Pete Consadori is here. Pete, how are you?
Doing well. Interesting rewatching the movie. I mean, it's not like this is the first time we're rewatching it, but excited to talk about it after for its 10-year anniversary.
Yep, also with us today, the guy who's a big deal in the Resistance, Nick Fraietta, is here. Nick, how are you?
Doing good. Happy 10-year birthday to The Force Awakens. Double digits.
Yeah.
Insane.
The sequel trilogy is now a preteen.
The sequel trilogy is as old as Revenge of the Sith was when we saw the sequel trilogy.
Yes.
I guess when that becomes as old as the Phantom Menace was, then it becomes a real like wow, but
Yeah.
crazy.
It is crazy here. And Pete, people want to subscribe to this guy, guys. They can do so Apple Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, Amazon, all usual suspects. Simply search for the Sky Guys favorite podcast platforms, a lot of episodes there. And the year is winding down. It's our second to last podcast of 2025, but make sure you subscribe. 2026 is going to start off strong, including we have Mando 2 coming next. We're going to do our Mando 2 episodic rewatches in a couple of weeks. Make sure you're there.
Yeah, Mando 2 coming up, a bunch of other stuff coming up that if you're not subscribed, you might miss it, probably will miss it. So make sure you're subscribed. It's totally free. We don't ask for a dollar from you guys. So make sure you subscribe and keep up to date with us.
Yep. And Nick, people want to follow us on social media. How can they do that?
Follow at Sky Guys Podcast all over social media and at skyguyspod@gmail.com to email the pod.
Yep, we can also go to our social media comment of the week. We'll go over to TikTok here. This is from our discussion a few weeks ago about the potential for continuing the Skeleton Crew story in some form. And Pete, hard to believe that Skeleton Crew was also this year. So it feels so long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, Lives and Breathes on TikTok says, and we discussed you want to see like sexy as Skeleton Crew. I love the show. I find pictures of the characters as teens or young adults. So Nick, this is the sort of idea that they're with us, like they try and navigate the Stranger Things problem with the kid actors getting older. So like I find like a time jump would not be bad.
I don't even think it's that an issue, like with the character getting older. Like
Yeah.
even with Stranger Things, everyone makes such a big deal that the 23-year-olds are playing high school kids.
Yeah.
We grew up on movies where 30-year-olds are playing high school kids. Look at Scream, for
Yeah.
example. They were literally 30 years old playing high school kids. So I don't mind. I don't think it's a big deal if they were to play a kid who's a 1 year older and they're really 3 years older. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, but yeah, I do agree though. I think the common sentiment here, piece that we're all on board for more of the Skeleton Crew story if it's not in the second season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine, no matter what angle you pull it at. Excuse me. So, if they're older, if they're not, I think all of us can agree. Any sort of new Skeleton Crew content is accepted by us.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's go to the Star Wars news here. A little light, but there is one very interesting story. I think we need to dive into a little bit here.
Yeah, I'll start with that. So there's rumors circulating online that a major announcement will be made this week of recording, just so you're aware, audience, is December 9th. Um, anyway, a major announcement we made this week about a Star Wars video game, which has been hinted to be an update on the Knights of the Republic remake that has been in development hell since it was announced. And I'm going to kick it to you, Mike, in a second. But I will say, as of recording December 9th, the Game Awards are in 2 days, December 11th, and they're known for making big announcements. Wouldn't be surprised if that's what's going on here.
Yeah,
But go ahead, Mike.
yeah, that's the theory online that the announcement will come. So probably on next week's pod, we talk about the 2025 review. We'll be able to update you more on this. But the buzz right now is that, and IGN sort of has an article that was summed up information online, is that KOTOR 1, the remake, is a handoff to another developer, Mad Head Games, I believe, that they've produced a couple of games that they're working on this. And there is allegedly a KOTOR 2 remake that was in development as recently as March. Through it was found to be a mysterious project called Juliet, and it's basically a modern remake of the KOTOR 2 video game with the cut content that was shaved out to beat the December 2004 release date. So that's happening. This all got found because people were going down rabbit holes trying to figure out why a promised update of the game in 2021, I want to say for the Switch, did not get the content that was promised. It was cut and was supposed to be restored. So long story short, KOTOR 1 remake sounds like we are actually getting it. 2 was in development as late as March. So, Pete, any reaction?
It sounds pretty cool. I kind of wish. I feel like video games are falling into the same bad habit of TV shows where they just keep remaking things instead of making original content. Not to say that, Knights of the Old Republic is not something to be remade. I think it's very cool. I think it will do well. But I was just kind of hoping maybe make a KOTOR 3 if that's not already a thing. If it is already a thing, then make the next one, whatever it is. Um, I think video games, as much as it might be really cool to see, is just kind of getting stuck in that just remake, remaster model as of late.
Nick, any other thoughts?
Well, as you know, I didn't play the games, so I know there's a huge fan base though. So i- if the problem with to be fair, I did play the first game for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And the issue that I had with it playing it was that it was very outdated. So this would, I guess, right away solve my problem with it. So I guess I'm all for it for that reason.
Yeah, I will say, like, we covered KOTOR 1 on the podcast over the summer with the Nick D'Alessio and Mac Roberts, like, filled in here. Like, people in the audience were big on the KOTOR stuff. So, like, if this does get greenlit here, we might need to go to the KOTOR 2 well, if you guys want to come along this time.
If it gets remade from the ground up and it actually is modern, let's say it comes out on like PS5 and it's actually modern with modern controls and whatnot, I'm gonna play it. So we can have a good perspective of somebody who's new to the series.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's definitely something to keep an eye on here because I do think like the fact that KOTOR 2, which is like the second game, and infamously it was supposed to be third game to close the trilogy out that never got made. So perhaps if one and two, if they remake one, it sells, and they do finish two and it sells, maybe you do get a modern conclusion to the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about remakes turning into or giving opportunity to a sequel or a new game. You kind of get the players and the fans warmed up, if you will, and kind of hint at the, hey, listen, we're going to remaster one and two and then give you three. So it's definitely a possibility. It's not something that is too out in left field, but I stick to my guns when I say remakes need to kind of slow down a little bit. But for the KOTOR fans out there, I'm sure this is very, very exciting for you guys, and I don't want to squash that either.
Yeah,
And it's happened before. Kingdom Hearts did that. Ratchet and Clank did that. Put the remake out and then make a new game. And if I'm not mistaken, Mike, from what I hear, two was a good game, but it was like half a game, and they just like cut everything. Maybe if they
yep.
remake it, they put in what's supposed to be in it.
Yes, because the story with two back in the day was they released one, I think in summer of 2003. It was a smash hit. Two was fast track with development. They wanted it out by Christmas '04. So they had to cut the last third of the game. And there were side plots that were dropped, like a whole planet that was cut because they were trying to make the release date. You can look in the code, the stuff is there. There's unrecorded, there's dialogue that's in the code that
And
they
you can
did.
bring that stuff into the game if it's a remake and just put it in.
Yeah, because famously there are modders on the internet who restored the cut content and they built it. This was supposed to go into the Switch port of the game at some point because they promised the content's coming back and then they just didn't deliver it. And part of it, we believe, is that Disney may have squashed this. They were working on the two remake. They didn't want to like they basically squeeze out like their own market here.
All right. Well, let's see what happens with it.
The big takeaway here is one: the remake for KOTOR is very much alive. If the information reporting here is correct.
Yeah, especially if they said announcement this week and the Game Awards are this week, that would be a good time to do it.
Yep. What else we got?
A newly restored version of the original Episode 4, A New Hope, from 1977 is going to hit theaters in February 19th, 2027 for the 50th anniversary of the movie and franchise as a whole.
I love this, Pete, because this is people don't really get the context here. We know the original, the remastered version is going to be put out in May, but seeing the 77 version without Jabba, without all the modern graphics, seeing like the production errors in it, like the Stormtrooper bonking his head on the door and the Death Star, like that's kind of cool that that version is going to resurface.
So they're just remaking the old version, keeping all of the stuff in there.
Yeah, like the
Is
the
that the
version you
the
saw that was in theaters in
yeah?
1977 is being like remastered for modern release.
So
Like
are they
Han,
gonna?
like Han being the only one who shot, not Han
Like
shot
like
first.
Han shot first will be in that.
Not
How
even
about
Han
the?
shot first. In that one, it's Han shoots.
Yep.
Greedo doesn't even shoot in the original.
Yep.
How about do we think Anakin is the original Anakin?
I think
The Force Ghost?
no, I think
No,
so.
we're just in A New Hope. It's not the whole
Only
trilogy.
only A New Hope is out.
Oh, geez, sorry. I thought we were doing the whole trilogy. Okay, so my fault. Take that back. Yeah, no, it sounds cool. I mean, I'd be interested to go see it. I mean, let's just call it what it is 50 years of Star Wars, and they ain't slowing down. We just did a State of the Brand podcast. Make sure you check that out. Shameless plug. And it's just still they're just still pumping out content, and it's still super relevant 50 years later. So just shows you how great Star Wars is.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago
Did they put in the deleted scene with Jabba the Hutt as a human?
I don't know. That would be funny.
No way. No way.
That would be hilarious. They did that.
That would be funny.
All right. So is that it for the news?
Yes, that is it.
Actually, I forgot one thing I'll add in here. I meant to write on the rundown here is that we did get more award nominations for Andor because it got nominated for the drama series at the Critics' Choice Awards. Diego Luna got nominated for Best Actor at both the Critics' Choice and Golden Globes.
Very nice.
And
Well deserved.
I believe Pete also that Diego Luna is the first Star Wars actor to get nominated for acting in Star Wars at the Golden Globe since Alec Guinness in the original movie.
Impressive. Yeah, no, it's huge.
Yeah.
I think Andor is going to pave the way for a lot of great things, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
All right, so that's it for the news here.
Yes.
All right, let's get to the main event here. The Revenge of the Force Awakens 10th anniversary rewatch. We all rewatched the movie this week to get ready for this here. So very low key from Disney here. They've not done much to remind you that this movie's 10 years old. So general thoughts here, guys, on what you saw going back and rewatching this.
Pete, the floor is yours.
Sure. I mean, I always liked episode 7. We've talked about before how it's pretty much a reskin of A New Hope. So if you like A New Hope, you're gonna probably trend toward liking episode 7. It has its flaws, but I mean the flaws are not like crazy. I thoroughly enjoy the movie. I think when I first saw it in theaters, it got me excited for Star Wars and what was to come with 8 and 9. Unfortunately, 8 and 9 I feel like just kind of fell short of what 7 brought to the table. But I think it still holds up. I still think it's a really good Star Wars film, and I think it needs to be in the conversation of good Star Wars content versus bad like the rest of the sequels are.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I know one of the people on this panel included has retroactively gone back and said, "Oh, 7 was bad. 7 ruined a lot of things with a franchise. Like this is not a great thing." Like watch this movie on its own, as its own thing, and like separating out what happened from 8 beyond 7. This is a very fun movie. They do some very fun character choices. You get good acting performances from the likes of like Adam Driver and John Boyega has a lot to do in this movie, which I think is a lot of fun. You get the Harrison Ford farewell tour to the franchise. I think is a fun spot here. Like I think this movie is a fun like rewatch, regardless of like what happened afterwards.
Are you ready for me?
Yeah, I know you're ready to take a dump on it.
No, not really. Like as a movie on its own, if I'm just watching this movie, I don't dislike it. I don't think it's a good episode 7, and I don't think it's a good first movie of a trilogy.
Yeah,
But I think as its own film by itself, I don't think it's bad.
yeah,
I think that the one thing that really people lose sight of, though, is that a lot of people will blame episode 8 or 9 or both. I think the blame needs to fall here because once you finish this movie, you are backed in a corner where there's nowhere else you can really go. I don't see how they could have went through with 7 and everything they did, which is destroying the New Republic, starting up the war again against the Empire versus the Resistance, showing that Rey is a Jedi and Luke's in hiding, having Rey show up to Luke at the end of the movie. I don't see any other way it could have went than how it did go in 8. Of course, there's minor differences that could have happened. Like Luke could have said, "Yeah, I'll train you," instead of "No," but like that's obviously not what was going to happen. Like you're just going to say, like imagine the opening scene of 8 was, "Yeah, I'll get you, I'll train you now." Like that would be weird. So like I just don't think that they could have done anything different once this movie ended and it backed them into a corner. But by itself, as a standalone film, it's a fun adventure. Absolutely.
yeah. It is a fun adventure. So like we all watch this, but we don't need to go beat by beat here. So I think we'll go around the room. Like, things you like, things you want the note you notice on this rewatch here. So, Nick, you can start us out here. Like, what's something that popped out to you in the rewatch?
The music.
Yeah.
The music's top tier, and that's a given. We know that. Star Wars, everything, it's always going to be top tier. The effects, top tier. The battles. The battle at, man, what is the name of the planet where Maz Kanata's castle is?
Takodana.
The battle there when Finn and the rest of them, excuse me, Poe and the rest of them show up in the X-Wings, insane. The music, the way they're going over the water, that kind of stuff. The movie is fantastic at it. Some of the other things when I say, like we've talked about in the past, how I feel that it kind of derailed the franchise in a way, that's different, like story driven stuff. But in terms of like, I want to sit down and have a fun time watching a movie. It's great for that. Absolutely. Oh, and I gotta say, the opening scene in this movie is absolutely unbelievably fantastic.
Yeah, it sucks you in.
But I think it's the best opening scene in Star Wars. Better than Revenge of the Sith.
That's a high praise. Revenge of the Sith does get you like really amped up.
It is so good, this opening scene.
Yeah. Another note on the opening scene, Pete, like when we get the whole battle, like on the planet where like Poe like gets the map from Lor Santeca and like watches the village gets murdered in front of him. Like this is the first time we actually see blood in Star Wars.
I think so.
No.
No.
Yes.
See if you guys can come up with it. I'll give you 8 seconds.
8 seconds. I mean, was there blood when Darth Maul died? I guess not.
I don't think so.
When Obi-Wan chops off that guy's arm in the cantina in the original, there's blood on the floor.
Uh,
Uh, are you are you sure? Like, are we sure they actually stay in the special edition?
No, that's a good point. I don't know if that's in the original, like, or just in the
I'm
special
sure
edition. I think it's in both, but I don't know.
I'm sure it's the 77 version. I just don't know if they
I think it is, yeah. Oh, it stayed. It stayed. No, it stayed, yeah.
because I don't know if they had the blood on the floor in the remaster edition because they remember
I think they do.
they did the whole thing where the lightsaber sort of cauterizes wounds theoretically now. So I think they wanted to make it more kid friendly.
I am gonna look it up. I'm gonna mute myself and watch it, and you guys are going to.
Keep going. All right, so Pete, what's something you want to talk about here?
um, I mean, look, I mean, when I don't think there's much to talk about the story in the sense of what happens. I think what happens in the story is very simplistic and very linear in the sense that we pretty much got the same story from four in seven with just new actors, excuse me, new characters, a new bad guy, and all of that. So I don't necessarily know if there's much to talk about story, but I mean to really piggyback. I hate to be like so corporate about it, but piggyback on Nick's point, the opening to Kylo Ren's character is just so impactful. And I think Am Driver was the perfect person to play that role. And I think Adam Driver deserves a lot of credit for his role in this, especially, throughout the sequel trilogy. That might be a controversial take, but I think his performances were strong throughout. And I think we need to highlight that. I think what they got very, very right was creating the new bad guy and someone that like has a connection like Anakin did. And I think that was huge. I think that set the tone very well. And I disagree with Nick about the blame falls on seven because where else could you go? But that's a conversation for a different podcast. I think they set up the trilogy pretty damn well and it kind of unraveled from there.
I'm with you at that, Pete. I think when we revisit the Last Jedi in 2 years, definitely have that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, briefly, what I would say is I think the Last Jedi is the controversial, almost like the Attack of the Clones movie, and if they finish strong with Episode 9, I don't think we'd be having this discussion. But you know, back to seven, Kylo Ren is such a badass in this opening sequence. I mean, literally just stops the blaster bullet and is like having a full blown conversation. Poe gets walked by the blaster bullet. It's just the visuals and the music, like Nick said, is just so impactful that I agree with him wholeheartedly. I think this is the best Star Wars opening scene ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like Nick.
One more thing I want to point out on the character of Kylo Ren, who I think is definitely my favorite character in the sequel trilogy, is I hear a lot of people say, I really liked him until he took the mask off, and then he just looks like a boy. Like he was a pretty boy. Like that's the point. And it gets on my nerves so much people don't get that. Is that he wants to be Vader. He wants to be destroyed, disfigured, wears the mask, but he's not. He is just a regular person, a pretty boy, if you will. Han Solo's son.
Yeah.
That, like, the point is that he doesn't want to be that. The point is he wants to be Vader, but he isn't.
Yeah.
That's the entire point of the character, and that he does everything that he does to try to, I don't want to say one up Vader, but in a way, one up him, which we see in like The Last Jedi. Vader always talked about killing Palpatine, and I guess he kind of did. You see, but that's when he turned good. Kylo actually did it in with like what's the word I'm looking for? Not turning good. He did it to overthrow him.
Yeah, he pulled the coup.
Yeah. So like it's that he's trying to be Vader and be better than Vader, not that he's like supposed to have been like that. That was the whole point of the character, was to look the way he did. And it kind of gets on my nerves when everyone says, I liked him until he took the mask off. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It does in here, and I do think the performance Adam Driver gives throughout the movie is very good. Like, I think my favorite line in the entire movie is when Kylo Ren learns about how BB-8 escapes Jakku, and they're telling him, "Oh, like the droids got away on a freighter," and he just delivers the lines like, "The droids stole a freighter." It just deadpan. Like that got me cracking up so much watching the movie. It's a tremendous line.
One of my favorite lines.
That's a good piece of comedy, and I think that one of the negative things people say about the sequel trilogy is the comedy, and I think some of it hits and some of it misses.
I think it landed better here than it did in the back in the last two.
I agree. I'm trying to think of other like pieces of comedy that were in this movie that whether they landed or not. I know there was the opening thing, like I don't know why I keep getting Finn and Poe's name confused, but Poe says to Kylo, "Who talks first? Me? You talk first, or I talk first?" Like that was kind of funny. I think that one. I don't say that. I don't think that one missed. I can't really think of others that in this movie in particular. I know I can think of others in the later movies that I don't think hit, but
Yeah, infamously the Ryan Johnson like first scene when Poe is like playing the phone prank on General Hux, like that did not land whatsoever.
yeah. And I gotta say, They Fly Now was definitely supposed to be comedy, right?
Yeah,
That one didn't land at all. But
yeah, yeah. So I think that's what's interesting here. Think the Adam Driver stuff here. I think I'll start out with here is that like you forget when you until you rewatch the movie that like they kind of switch it on you that Ray is sort of the Jedi at the end here. Like the whole movie was like there was like Finn's the main character where like I think this is sort of fun watching Finn go through the movie trying to basically like BS his way into being a hero and having no idea how to do it. Where he's trying, he's got like I'm a big deal with the resistance. Like he's trying to play this tough persona. Like he has no idea how to do it, and like he's basically stumbling along. He has self doubts. Like he gets basically like exposed by Han, like sort of saying, okay, like I'm like not good enough, I have to leave, and then he sort of gets roped back in and actually becomes a hero by the end of the movie. I think that's a fun sort of character arc for him.
I agree. I completely agree. I think when the movie came out, the big reveal was Rey being the Jedi, right? When the lightsaber moved, it was like when Captain America picked up the Thor's hammer, right?
Yep.
But when you go back and rewatch this movie, it's so obvious
Yeah.
that she's going to be like the way that she has such a relationship with Han right away. They're kind of like connect. The way that Maz asks Han, "Who's the girl?" and they change the scene right away. Like it's very obvious that she's supposed to be the main character when you're doing a rewatch. When you're watching for the first time, though, it's not that obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. They try and pull the wool over your eyes a little bit, Pete, where like they give you Finn's perspective on everything and kind of have Ray be the supporting character and then flip it at the end of the movie.
Well, I personally think after I saw this movie, right before the final scene, I thought both Finn and Rey were going to become Jedi in the rest of the sequels. And I think they could have changed it after this movie where in what's it called in episode 8 and episode 9 where both of them become Jedi to go against Kylo, make Kylo look even more powerful. I think that's the direction they probably should have went because that's what I thought was going to happen until Rey is the only one standing in front of Luke. Um, so to that point, I'll agree with Nick that, 7 kind of messed up that trajectory a little bit. But I still believe that they should have just both become Jedi. I thought that would have been a sick storyline. And I think both of them would have done fantastic in the role as like a duo.
I think it would have been better too. I agree.
Yeah, I think like would have been fun to see that happen. I also think I think it's always fun watching him try and portray the false bravado that like Finn has, where like he tries to go up to Poe and he breaks down. It's like, you know how to fly this thing, right? And Poe and me is like, you don't know how to fly. You need a pilot. That's why you need me. That's why you're not trying to defect. And then he goes to Han's like, I'm a big deal. Just like, okay, big deal. She can see right through you. So I think like him trying to do these things and then like him coming up with this bold plan in the end. Like, he actually finally bluffs them at the end. It's like, oh, like I was a janitor on the Star Killer base, but like I wanted to be here, so I just lied my way through. And like that kind of earns Han's respect a little bit at the end.
Not to mention, this is also the movie where Rey fixes the Falcon.
Yes,
So another hint right away that she's like this
the
goddess.
special one.
Yeah, just the hints throughout the movie. But again, when you watch it for the first time, it's easy to miss these things.
It is fun to miss these things here. And P, what else you want to bring up?
Um, I mean, the other thing that's powerful for me is you get introduced to the, I guess, what is he called, Supreme Leader or something, Snoke,
Yep.
right? Whatever his title is. I think that's huge. And then the dynamic between General Hux and Kylo Ren, which is like that, almost like that sibling rivalry, if you will. I think that's huge. And again, something they could have kept pushing forward with, which I think kind of lost its luster in 8 and 9. But that to me stood out a great deal. That was a little bit different than maybe episode 4 kind of vibes that I get from the episode, right? So General Hux, great character. That insecurity that Kylo Ren has, especially with Snoke. Snoke's this like almost like Wizard of Oz character where he's like massive in this first movie, and then you come to find out he's just like the regular sized whatever he is in episode 8, but in the throne room. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty cool part, and also sets up like a really good storyline that unfortunately kind of gets squashed by episode 8.
Yeah, Nick, I think the Snoke thing is interesting here because, like, remember in the original trilogy, you don't see Palpatine at 4. He doesn't show up until 5. So, like, here you kind of get teased. Oh, like, here's the bad guy, the big bad guy right away. And then they subvert their stage in the next movie. But, like, they do enough to make him intriguing without giving away everything.
Yep, they do what you do. They do in 7 what they did in 5,
Yeah.
which was show him but not reveal him. The only difference is that in the original trilogy, we knew the Emperor existed in 4. We just didn't see him,
Yes.
which you could argue makes him even more threatening.
Yeah.
When you know there's someone out there that you don't even know what they look like or you don't know anything about them, just there's some guy out there named the Emperor. But um, Snoke was definitely intriguing. What the big talking points after the movie are who's Rey and who's Snoke.
Yeah.
No one cared who Finn was. No one cared who Poe was. We kind of just figured they're just people. You know, the big questions were those two, and there were theories left and right.
Yep.
We all had our own theories. I had my theory. I don't even think I had a theory on Snoke, to be honest, but I had a theory on Rey. Ended up being wrong. I'm not afraid to share it. I thought that they were going to reveal at the end of episode 9 that Rey and Kylo were brother and sister.
Yeah.
They did not.
And it would have been directly copying the first trilogy then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing I'll throw out here, I have more points. I'll throw another one out here that I think is interesting going back and watching these movies that in the hype of the Grogu mania here, BB-8, who was the breakout character of this movie, is completely forgotten now in terms of like the content here. Because prior to the Mandalorian, like everything Star Wars is BB-8 this, BB-8 that. We had mini shorts for BB-8 doing fun things at R2. Like when Grogu came out, Disney just dropped BB-8 like a hot potato.
There's still a decent amount of merch, but not not that much.
And it's crazy because Pete, like everybody loved BB-8 going out of the movie. Like he was by far like the universally beloved character out of that movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I mean, look, we talked about off air this kind of clickbait article about Disney retconning the sequel trilogy. Um, and of course you go into the article, you read it, and we discussed it, how it's just, more so just talking about the new Disney Plus shows kind of the sequels being in the shadow of that. But it's kind of almost like silent retconning, right? I mean, like you just said, BB-8 and Ray were like literally the characters. That's what they circled around. Now it's Mando and Grogu, and like, if someone asks you who's BB-8, a casual Star Wars fan or a non-Star Wars fan is not going to be able to tell you, but they'll be able to tell you who Baby Yoda is. So it's very interesting to see that shift so quickly happen. Granted, quickly, we're talking about maybe a 5 year difference between what Mando and Episode 7 about.
Or,
Um,
but yeah.
so yeah, I mean it's very interesting to see that shift like happen so quickly because you're right. I mean BB-8 was the talk of the town, if you will. Now it's Grogu.
Yeah, because BB-8 was their like character. Like, oh, the kids love BB-8. They do all the comedy of BB-8 in the movie where he's like the cute puppy running around with Ray and Finn, and like he's doing the goofy thumbs up thing with the flame torch. Like he's looking around at Ray and Finn, like, should I tell her? Or should I not tell her? Should I tell her? Or should I not tell her? And then like a lot of the physical comedy bits are BB-8.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. He's great in the movie. And as you said, it is kind of surprising that it
Like he's
really just fell off a cliff after just 4 years. And I kind of agree with Pete. It's kind of like silent retconning. Like they're never going to come out and say, "Hey guys, the sequel trilogy is not canon." By the way, that's never going to happen. But with the inclusion of the Mandalorian and all the storylines that go along with it, I know they both coexist in the timeline, but let's get real. That's what they're kind of doing. They're like, well, this is some content that happened that happened after episode 6, and in Disney's mind right now, this is the sequels. Of course, the movies are still going to exist, and they make money off of them, and they showcase them at Galaxy's Edge and whatnot. But I think in their mind right now, the Mandoverse is their sequel trilogy.
Yeah, I think it's just in terms of like we've discussed this off the air before, like that. I think the Mandoverse, they realize how popular it is. They're kind of using it to try and fix flaws in the sequel trilogy. That's the sense I'm getting right now.
Yeah, they're plugging in some holes, which I guess Clone Wars kind of did, but the prequels, I don't, but I think the Clone Wars didn't really necessarily fill in plot holes. It more so gave characters who they weren't developed enough some room to develop. For example, a lot of those separatist leaders. Um, we've said this a couple times before. When we think about the prequels, you think of Samuel L. Jackson and Mace Windu. When you watch the movies, he's barely in them,
Yeah,
especially 1 and 2. And 3, he has a sizable role. He's barely in 1 and 2.
yeah,
So it gives people a chance to develop a little bit more as opposed to these shows, which are, I think, more designed in explaining things.
yeah. I'm trying to do a quick little research here on the Disney shop to compare the products here between BB-8 merch and Grogu merch. So you want to go down this rabbit hole.
Well, the one thing I would like you to check, are we marketing Ray as Ray Skywalker anymore in the merch world?
I'll do that afterwards. I have the other two up, so.
Okay.
BB-8, we'll share on the Sky Guys YouTube version, so you can check that out there. So on the official Disney shop, there are 15 BB-8 products. You got some T-shirts for kids. You have a water bottle. You have some mugs with them on there. There's a couple.
I like that water bottle.
Yeah, the
Roll with it.
Yeah, the Let's Roll also is a funny
Yeah, I
one.
like those.
Yeah, you got a couple of T-shirts. 15.
How would he work?
Who?
How would BB-8 work if he's rolling but his head doesn't move?
It's kind of like it feels like if you're on like I'm trying to remember what the exercise equipment is. It's like kind of feels like that.
Yeah, I feel like that wouldn't. His head needs to be plugged in somewhere. He has a Bluetooth head.
Yeah.
They
So
they have it at Galaxy's Edge. It's
yeah.
it's a real droid. So
Yeah, so there's 15 BB-8
It must
products
have a hole.
on the Disney. This is just the Disney store, the official Disney Star Wars.
Okay. How about Grogu?
39. So you got like action figures, you got a plush, there's some Mando stuff around here, Grogu
The
and
waffle maker is huge. Huge.
the waffle maker. There's a backpack, there's totes.
all right, to be fair though, that backpack is not Grogu. That's
Yeah.
The Mando.
that's Mythosaur. That's
Yeah,
not
Mythosaur on
I
there.
don't know why it's like considered Grogu.
Oh my God. Send me the link to that. Wait, is that Thai?
Yeah.
$75?
there's a
For
Grogu
the
tie.
tie?
Yeah, $75.
I was about to say, send me the link. I thought it said 750.
This
I'm not
is
buying a tie for $75.
this is
Jesus.
why Disney is struggling right now.
Yeah, there's Grogu tie, there's more Grogu shirts. So these,
You realize it's like 120 to go to Disney for the day?
yeah,
Yeah, it's more expensive than that.
yeah,
Well, I just went. It's if you go at the right time of year, you
Oh,
can get.
okay.
We went. We went. It was 150 each per the day.
yeah,
Crazy.
So and we went mid-November. I guess if you go in a quieter time, this price would go down. So like
Right.
only double the price. So two ties, it's the same price as me going to Disney World for the day. That's crazy.
yeah. And Pete, I did check the race out. They are marking the lightsaber as the Rey Skywalker lightsaber.
Okay. I was curious about that because I feel like a lot of the marketing I see is just Rey, not Rey Skywalker. So I didn't know what their angle was on the merch.
What lightsaber?
The one from Galaxy's Edge, the hilt,
Not,
and the,
yeah, I mean, is it her yellow one or the
yeah,
Skywalker family one?
the yellow one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's going on. Like here's the Grogu is tripling up BB-8 in terms of merch, basically on the Star Wars site.
Yeah, that's interesting. And he like you said, he was the big takeaway from, or at least the big, I don't know the word.
He was the character people wanted. Like he was
Yeah.
the they made little like 2 minute shorts about BB-8's adventures between.
Right, BB-8, then I guess it became Babu Frick, but not nearly on the same scale. People just liked them, thought it was funny.
Yeah. Nick, add something else to the conversation.
But what?
Well, another angle from the movie you want to discuss. If not, I have several more. We can go down.
Yeah, I want to talk about the combat,
Sure.
more specifically the lightsaber combat.
Yeah, we really get the
Um,
lightsaber fight at the end.
yeah, we get one at the end, and right away it's noticeable that the original trilogy was the choreography was basically non-existent. Although Return of the Jedi, the choreography was pretty cool, but especially that that first fight, that Obi-Wan versus Vader fight was basically non-existent choreography, right?
I mean,
And then you
It's Alec Guinness and a guy in a suit. So I mean,
yeah,
they're not doing too many things.
then you move forward to the prequel trilogy where it was way over the top, flips everywhere, and I mean they worked so hard at getting in shape for those things. You see those videos of them working out and stuff, trying to master their skills. And then you get to the sequel trilogy where it's kind of like I don't want to say a mixture, but it's more like a realism type of fight.
Yeah, it's more
The
grounded.
fight is very grounded, but it's almost like realistic, like if you had two people pick up swords and fight each other with them.
Yeah, I think
Where but then again, if you're trained in all these years, you probably would be as good as you were in the prequel trilogy. So I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on what choreography style you prefer. For me, it's the prequel trilogy because I think if you were training for 20 plus years, that's what you'd be able to do.
yeah, I would agree with that. I also think it's good to note in terms of the fight at the end here. Basically, like they make it look very clear. Like Ben has never played on a lightsaber in his life. He's
Yeah,
basically
of course.
trying to do what he would do here. And I think the very clever story decision that basically you catch that like after like Kylo murders Han, that Chewie basically shoots him and he's injured in the fight. So like they make it very realistic why Kyle's not just wiping the floor with these two.
Yeah, and I still hear people complain about it all the time.
Yeah, because he
And
gets
they even I think the world complained about it so much that Rey was able to beat Kylo, even after the explanation you provided. They complained so much that they went out of their way to make it a line in the next movie.
yeah.
I really don't think that was going to be a line if people didn't complain that much. And of course, there's no way to prove that. But I really truly believe Snoke would never have said that if people didn't complain that much.
Yeah.
Let, let me I just want to make a comment about how people are complaining way too much. It's just a theme today. Could you imagine if episode one at the time, but episode four came out now where the Death Star had this convenient shaft that would just blow up the whole thing and he just made it first shot, never flew like never
Yep.
flew an X-Wing. Like I feel like it would get ripped to shreds, but because it's a classic and it's because it's from the 70s and it's the original content, everyone loves it, right? The original trilogy, nothing can be wrong. Everything makes sense. Everything's great. Meanwhile, Luke Skywalker is just oh, that's old crazy Ben. Oh, I guess I'm a Jedi now, and like, oh, I'll go hang out with Yoda and train in a forest and lift up a X-wing. Now I'm a Jedi. I can defeat Darth Vader. Like that was all good and dandy, but Rey comes in and beats Kylo Ren. He's hurt. No, no, that makes no sense. We can't have that.
Right, like you look at like the Death Star hole, people in the 80s would just like laugh and go, "Oh, yeah, they missed it." But yes, but now if that came out, people would be like
Oh, they
angry.
would slam it.
They'd be angry.
I mean, it was so bad that agrees to follow. They made a movie 35, 40 years later to fix the plot hole.
They did, and a show
Yeah.
about that movie that we like a lot.
Pete, any other points you want to get to? I have a couple more. We can cycle down.
No, no, it's the floor is yours.
All right, so let's throw a couple things out here. It's like number one, like I think I love the way they spaced out the jingle keys, flashback moments, sort of like to give everything their pops. Like like I remember watching this movie at theaters. Like the Falcon comes in this on the screen first time, the entire place explodes. Then you see Han and Chewie, the whole place explodes. You see Leia, the whole place explodes. Like they did a good job spacing out their elements, so it's not like and they waited about like 35 minutes before you even get to the Falcon. So I think like they did a good job sort of spreading the nostalgia around a little bit, giving new characters some room to exist before you bring the old stuff back.
And the jingle keys are a good thing to an extent,
Yeah.
but it depends on where you're getting them. When you're throwing me jingle keys nonstop and I like Ahsoka, I'm just going to use it as an example. But when you give me 7 episodes of Ahsoka and 4 of them are jingle key episodes and 3 of them are actual story content, then it's a little much. But when it's our first movie in 10 years and you want to throw some jingle keys at me, yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Pete, do you remember the pop in the theater when the Falcon showed up the first
Oh
time when
yeah.
Han
I
walks
mean,
aboard?
for all of them. I mean, they're spaced out, and it makes sense. The jingle keys make sense, right? These are characters that would still be around and that are relevant to the rebellion, and so I New Republic, whatever it's called. Um, it it made sense and it wasn't forced. Sometimes jingle keys are a little bit forced in like the new Disney Plus stuff, and you're like, okay, like you just threw that in there just to say, hey, we have this, but. This was super smooth. They didn't do it back to back to back. They gave, like you said, room for the characters to breathe and to develop and let the movie be its own movie, even though it is a four reskin. Yeah, I just I think they did well with it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, Nick, I'll go further also into Han Solo in this movie here because this is the Harrison Ford movie because like they originally had this plan of like every sequel movies they focus on one of the main three, sort of go with the new people. Like this is the Han movie, eight was Luke, and now it's supposed to be Leia before Carrie Fisher passes away. And you can tell like this is the most fun Han Solo like Harrison Ford has as Han Solo in years, where like he like looks nostalgic when he's on the Falcon set. He's having fun with the smuggling thing and the bit where like he's like, "Hey, I didn't screw you guys over more than once." And everybody's like, "Yep, yep." And Chewie's nodding in the background. That was hilarious. Like, you get like the moment where he's like he reunites with Leia, and then he's trying to save his son. Like, Harrison Ford, I think, finally gets his wish here. Like, they're finally gonna kill me off. This is great, and he just really goes all out with it. The character, I think it works so well.
I think he's the MVP. If
Yeah,
we were doing MVP, LVP, I would pick Han Solo as the MVP of the movie. Like you said, he was having a great time doing it. I'm sure they paid him a lot of money, and sure that's one of the reasons he was so happy. But also, maybe he was really happy to just be there.
yeah, yeah. P. I think like Harrison Ford, notably in the '80s, is not thrilled to be back for Return of the Jedi. Like he felt his character should die for the second movie. So I think him getting his wish here and having Han kill off the end of the movie, I think definitely influenced his performance a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak upon what influenced him or not, or, I mean, he's a good actor, so it may be looking like he's having a great time when he's not, or it could be very, very well, like you said, that he was excited to, have the character end and put that baby to bed, if you will. So I can't speculate on that, but I do know he did play a really great role and he did a great job in the movie.
Yeah, definitely. What was your favorite Han moment in the movie?
Probably just him showing up. I think that pop, I think, is probably the best part. Just like kind of walking in with Chewie, and it's like, holy shit, Han Solo and Chewie are here.
Yeah, like Chewie, we're home.
Yeah, exactly.
I also did love him, Nick, lecture like punking Finn a little bit, where especially when they land on Starkiller
Yeah,
Base.
him and Finn is my favorite part of him in the movie. The dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, he's like, okay, okay, big deal. Like he gives him that nickname the whole movie when he tries to intimidate and say, "I'm a big deal to resistance." And then when Finn like says here, he's like, "What's your plan?" Finn says, "We're gonna use the Force." And then he's like, "I'm like, that's not how the Force works."
Yeah, it's funny.
It's also interesting with that character, Pete, that with like when you see him in four, he's like when Obi-Wan's talking about the Force on the Falcon, he's like, yeah, yeah, whatever. I don't believe in like anything other than a trusty blaster on your side. And we get to seven, and then like Ray and Finn are asking him like, what's going on with the Force? And he's like, it's true, all of it. Like he's been enlightened.
Yeah, enlightened, and he's been through it, right? I mean, like all the stuff he went through in episodes 4, 5, and 6. It's how do you not believe it? So, you have to remember too, 4, 5, and 6 comes at a time of uncertainty when it comes to the Force. It's not 1, 2, and 3 where that was just everyday life. You had a whole Jedi Order, you had a whole schooling, you had everything. So it was very, very common to go to 4, 5, and 6 where like you only heard about it in myths. It makes sense that Han Solo's character was very skeptical about it at first, but then he saw everything and he was like, "Yeah, no, this shit's real."
It is real. I think two other things on the movie before we grab on discussing your land here. I think the two big scenes I think we haven't touched on really is the Han Solo death scene, which is infamously spoiled, I think, like shortly after the movie came out here, where he goes up to where he was at Leia's like, if you see our son, go get him, please. And then he sees Kylo basically tries to talk him down. And I think this is a great scene where like they subvert your expectations, especially with the music, Nick. This is a good point where they give you the soft music where it makes you think, oh, Han's getting through to him. He's gonna come back to the light, and this all ends, and then he kills him. I think great storytelling twist there.
I agree. Um, it was sad to see, him go, but I think it really strengthened Kylo's character at the time, and like you said, was a great storytelling, great subversion of expectations. But yeah, I think the main takeaway there was how strong it made Kylo's character seem because he actually did it.
Yeah, Pete. Wait. What was your going back watching that scene again?
If I'm remembering correctly, because I rewatched it a little while ago for the podcast. That was the first time they interacted in the movie, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was the part that was impactful to me. It's like he finally sees his father again, and then it's just like, nah, I'm gonna kill you. Just very, very, the twist was great, but it's almost like very decisive. Haven't seen you. You're back. I have the chance. I'm gonna do it. I think that made Kylo Ren's character grow even more. And I think it was more impactful for Kylo Ren's character than it was for the scene in general. That Han Solo died. But that's me being the over analytical person that I am
I
versus
think
what's just on screen.
I do think you're on something there, though, especially because like you see like when he's walking down the corridor and like Han yells Ben, that like it startles like Kylo Ren. And like when the mask comes off and Adam Driver gets to act, it's fantastic. Where you could see like he's gently debating, like, am I like actually gonna do this, or am I just emotionally manipulating my dad to get what I want and get me closer to being the next Vader or being better than Vader? I think like, that acting is great at that point from Adam Driver.
I mean, that's very Vader,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I believe that we see that in the Obi-Wan series. I think they take a play out episode 7 where Anakin kind of comes through the mask a little bit and then like immediately turns on Obi-Wan. It's just like a switch flips.
Yeah.
It's not a one for one, but I mean, to me, it seems very, very Darth Vader-esque.
And then it's more conflicted though. I feel like Nick, like watching that scene, because like he's thinking about it. Like when Han promises, "I'll do what I can to help you." He says, "Okay, this is what I need to do."
Yeah, I think that that's the point of his character. Like
Yeah,
I said earlier, is that he's so conflicted. Not to say that Anakin wasn't conflicted. Obviously, he was. But there was a point, a couple of years, maybe even 20 years, in the middle where Anakin was no longer conflicted and he was just fully consumed by hatred. But with Kylo, he wants to be him so badly, but he knows deep down he's not. And he's trying to prove to himself that he is.
got a little imposter syndrome.
Yeah, he's trying to prove to himself that he is that bad of a guy. That's why he kills Han, to prove to himself that he's that bad. It's why he kills Snoke, to prove to himself that he is that evil or has that much anger and hatred in him, but he doesn't. He wants to, but he doesn't.
Yeah, I think so. I think I have one last scene, unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
Good. I have one more, but do yours first.
You can do yours because I think in case you and I have the same thing.
Sure, mine is a negative thing, and just I don't like the way that J.J. Abrams does this. Is that he has a mystery box for no reason.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
we
We're
we
not like
didn't.
we're not like Lost. That was basically half the show.
Yeah, we had to find the lightsaber in the basement. Where did we get it? Nope, not going to tell you now. Who is Rey? Nope, not going to tell you now. Who is Snoke? Nope, not going to tell you now. Who are these Knights of Ren? First of all, they don't even know. Now, in 2025, they still have no idea. But back then, nope, not going to tell you now. Like all of it was just like, tune in next time, and it was just like, can you just tell us something? Because
But
they didn't know either. They had no plan.
That's
yeah,
true.
but I mean, isn't that part of all? I mean, to your credit, I understand there should be something, but isn't that the whole point of an opening to a trilogy that you want to open up doors that you eventually will close? I
I
think that's why. I think that's why. I'm sorry, Mike. Seven was good, and then eight and nine screwed it up. They opened all the doors, then they had the plan. They had it right there. Okay, we have all the questions. Let's answer them. And then Ryan Johnson's like, we can just do something else for a
yeah.
movie. And then now J.J. Abrams is like, well, what the hell do I do?
Well, two things. I think there were too many things,
That's a fair
and
point.
none of them had a plan. It was just leave it open, let someone else figure it out.
It's again like J.J. Abrams created Lost. This is very much out of the Lost playbook. Like, okay, here's these ideas. Like, we'll get to them eventually, but we have some interesting things we could explore. And I think like he put the ball on the tee and said, okay, like I gave you all the interesting things. I get some cool stuff. Here you go. And then, like I said, this is a problem we discuss in future podcasts. Like Ryan Johnson went like basically took the thing, threw it in the water, and then like they sent Colin Trevorrow that had his own thing he didn't like, and then they said, JJ, go get the ball out of the pond and please put it back and do the best you can to tee it off to where you actually wanted to go.
Yeah, and to be fair, that there it's good to have some to have mysteries, like you said, Pete. Like not knowing who Ray is was great. They let people talking. Everyone was online saying, "I think she's this. I think she's that." Even to an extent, same with Snoke. But when you're not telling us who the Knights of Ren are because you don't even know, that's an issue.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. Like I do think it sort of goes to where I'm going here, which was the end of the movie where we get the great shot of like Ray, like they figure out where Luke is, and they've held Luke back from the whole movie. Now J.J. Abrams fans said like, "What if Luke is the MacGuffin for the movie? We're trying to find Luke the whole movie." And then we get to him at the end of the movie, and you send Ray out on the Falcon. She's navigating around what we later learn is Octo. We see, that moment where she gets to the top of the mountain. Luke standing there with the cloak on his head, and then she hands the lights around. They give you that infamous drone shot of like behind of them above, like on the mountaintop here. Like that to me is like a perfect ending shot to the movie. Like, okay, like here's our moment. But I think the issue they had is that they put themselves in a corner where like they kind of like it's weird if you don't pick up right from there, and then that explains why episode 8 takes place like basically over 2 days after episode 7, where you then know, or at least in Empire, you had like a few months between the movies. I think
I don't like that. How the timeline worked in the sequel trilogy, but that's not an episode 7 issue.
I think that's like I think like thematically it's a good ending, but I think like the issue is like you're going to payoff to that unless you're doing a time jump inside the second movie. Like
That's
it,
true. Yeah, now that I think about it, it kind of is an episode 7 issue because how else are you supposed to start 8 if you ended on that cliffhanger? You have to start there.
yeah,
I mean, you
Unless you're going to
don't.
say, unless you could say it's 5 years later and then we'll do a flashback scene to show what happened.
You don't even though. I mean, look at the prequels. There's so many time jumps. You don't know what Anakin was doing in those times. You just jump in. The beauty of Star Wars is every movie you have that scroll to tell you what's been happening before. And I feel like they didn't have to do it the same
I think you
day or
had
the
to.
day after.
I
I
think
think
with
you had
that,
to.
I
Because
think
it's
No.
Luke.
I think with that shot though,
Because
I
yeah,
think
because of that shot and it being
But you
Luke
can
Skywalker's first appearance in 30 years, you can't
you
just
can still have Luke
skip it.
Skywalker, but make it a year later and Rey's been training with Luke for a year. Right? I mean, you can still do it. You just don't need to do it the day after they meet.
I just think it's a challenge because like you have basically put yourselves in a
I don't think so.
I think like they have a lot of interesting possibilities of like Ray going and training for Luke. Like, what's the First Order going to do? Like now the
I
Republic is gone. I think they have
I
possibilities, but I think that shot, it's a hard sell to the monitor. I say, okay, here's this
no.
great moment. You're not going to see it. It's going to be in a crawl. We're going to tell you what happened.
No, you're gonna
I
see
agree.
him put him in the movie. Like, look at all I'm saying is like you went from Anakin being a child to like a full-blown adult in 2 movies.
But Anakin didn't appear in front of Palpatine handing him a lightsaber at the end of the first movie where you
No,
want to see
but
what happens next.
sure, but I don't think I think you still. I mean, we can agree to disagree, but I still think you get that same excitement knowing that Luke is now back in Star Wars. I don't think you need to know what happened exactly after that happens. But that's my opinion. I mean, look, that's just my opinion, and we can agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, 'cause I do think like the shot's a problem to me in terms of like it's a great shot visually. I understand why they want to do it. I think it just leaves you in that corner. Like, do we do this? And if we do, does it impact how we set the movie compared to like, can we skip it and tell a story a little further along? Because then you're in this awkward period eight where you're starting off with the aftermath of this. You're having an evacuation scene, and the whole movie is basically a slow speed car chase for and a side quest to a casino planet while Ray's training. Like that's I think the issue you have. You immediately follow that shot.
See, the issue that I have in general, which I know we said we're going to save this for another podcast, and we can do a deep dive in another podcast, but I felt that they backed themselves into a corner with this movie where they couldn't do other things. And there's no way for me to prove this unless this video still exists. But a good friend of the podcast, Joe Simone, actually recorded me doing this because I was nerding out and getting angry. And I told him before we saw The Last Jedi what I thought was going to happen. And I was literally exactly right on everything. I predicted the entire movie because I said to him, they can't do it any other way. It has to be this. The only thing I will admit that I did not get, I did not predict that Snoke would die.
Yeah, that's
But
probably
everything else to a T, they're going to be running away. Luke's going to say no. Then he's going to say yes. Then Rey's going to go help her friends when she shouldn't go help them. Literally to a T, everything, because I don't think they could have done it another way.
yeah. I think the ending definitely like as I've said, I think this is a good place to put it here is I think like they left you, I think, intriguing possibilities to follow up on, but like the last shot made it sort of like you're only limited to like one if you're giving the audience that carrot and not delivering it for them. And I think like I know Pete says this, Nick, like, oh, we could have just done this a year later and he's in the middle of training her, but like I think the modern audience is angry if you follow up with a crawl like, oh, like we're a year later. Ray is training with Luke, and this is happening in the First Order War. Like, I think you get more angry audience at that.
I'm just gonna make a counterpoint. Is anyone angry that no one saw what Luke did with Grogu? Is anyone angry that we have not gotten what Luke has been doing with Grogu in between season 2 and season 3 or
We
Book
did.
of Boba
We
Fett?
did.
We, we,
But
we,
like, was
But
there
we
like
saw them.
literal outrage? Like, why didn't we see this? This is bullshit. Like any of that?
I
I
don't
mean,
think there's outrage because we did see it. We
yeah,
saw it in Boba Fett. We didn't. No
We
one.
saw
No
like
one cared about him driving him to the planet and saying this is where you sleep.
sure,
They wanted to
sure,
see where the training, and we saw the training.
yeah, but we
yes.
saw like what 10 minutes?
I mean, my point is like you get this whole story in the movie about how like Luke's academy failed, like Luke is in hiding for some reason, and
Hmm.
then he's been tracked down against his will, and we don't follow up on that scene. I think that's a problem with the audience.
I mean, I think it's a bigger problem that we have this huge pop that Luke Skywalker takes Grogu to become a Jedi, and we see 5 minutes of him failing, and Mando's him taking him back. Like to me, that should be even more infuriating than if you were to go and do something where like you don't see a year of training and you just go back on. But again, I digress. We don't have to.
Yeah.
That's another discussion for another time.
Well, we don't. Pete, write that down. We revisit Book of Boba Fett. We'll talk about that.
Revisit Book of Boba Fett. I don't. Do we have to?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least Mando's portion of it.
Well,
Sure.
you
All
see,
right.
I
That's
think,
fair.
yeah. Well, we can also turn this idea into a. I think that we're all in agreement on the main point is that the sequel trilogy failed as a whole, but we all have our different opinions and
Mm-hmm.
reasons as to why. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a good idea as to maybe a show as to
Yeah.
why did the sequel trilogy fail.
That's a future conversation for sure.
Yeah, and then that's a great conversation we could have.
Yeah. So I want to wrap the episode here with this: is that like the last thing here is I mean, we don't need to go through the movie MVP LEP stuff because I think we're all pretty much in agreement on that. In terms of like we agree Han's the MVP, like some of the writings the LEP. I think we're essentially
I
agreeing.
don't know who the LVP is though. I was thinking about this earlier. I know, look, forget the MVP, forget the grade. Who would you give an LVP to?
in this movie.
Yeah, I don't really have an answer off the top of my head.
I really don't either. That's
I
the
have one person, but I feel like it's bad taste.
yeah.
I'm gonna give it to Leia, which is kind of messed up considering Carrie Fisher passed only like a year later, but I'm gonna give it to Leia because she walked right past Chewie and hugged Rey when she never met her. That blew my mind.
I could understand that though,
She doesn't
because
know who she is.
I mean, like, I think that's sort of like the mother in her. It's sort of like at that point, her character is.
30 years of hanging out with Chewie.
I mean,
30 years. I mean, I know there was
probably.
in the
She
middle
saw
there, but
she saw Chewie before, also though.
no, she didn't.
Like when Chewie and Han first meet, they do.
True.
As whereas like this poor woman's just wandering around looking lost, and Leia says, "Oh, I'm gonna go like bring her in." I have no problem with
True.
that.
I gotta make a big problem with it. Big.
Yeah, I would say like that's maybe my like one gripe, my one thing here. I think in terms of the situation, like with the movie, I think as you can know here, we're 10 years out from the movie. We had earlier this year, we had The Force Awake. I mean, we had Revenge of the Sith released for its 20th anniversary. 2 year last year, we had the Phantom Menace released for its 25th anniversary. This movie is not being re-released in theaters. We have Avengers Endgame going in theaters again next year, 7 years after it's done before Doomsday comes out. So, why do you think we did not get a re-release on this movie?
Did any of them get a 10-year re-release? Yes, right? If I'm not mistaken, didn't
I think
Phantom Menace come out in 3D?
I think Fan is 3D. I think we actually got a Revenge of the Sith 10-year anniversary release also. I'm pretty sure.
So it is a thing, and why they're not doing it? And I mean, my answer is clear. I think it's a silent retcon. They're trying to just have people more or less forget about the films and not acknowledging the 10-year anniversary, not releasing it. The merch has slowed down. I think that's how you do it. And they're not just going to put a halt to it. They're not going to come out with a statement, a tweet that says 789 are no longer canon. That's ridiculous. Never going to happen. But could they slowly take things off their website, not have people slowly forget about it? I think they can. And I heard, I'm sure we all heard this too. In 2015, everyone said, and I know, and I liked it back then too. That's not the point, but the sequel trilogy era, let's just say 2015 to 2019, everyone said, give it 10 years. Everyone will love the sequels.
Yeah.
Well, it's 10 years, and I think it's gotten worse.
Yeah, Pete, I think my theory with this here is I think like they are terrified of like what people are going to see with this movie. And I think they're worried that nobody's going to go when it comes out here. Plus, I mean, Disney as a studio has the Avatar Fire and Ash coming out like around the time that this should come out here. So I think they're trying to direct their
Yeah.
energy at that as opposed to saying, "Hey, go watch this movie. It may not be as popular as it was when it came out."
I was just about to say, I think it was a business decision because you have the new Avatar movie coming out, and let's be honest, Mando and Grogu is going to be their spotlight. It's coming out in May of 26, May 26th, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's around the corner, right? That's 4 months away, 5 months away. Sorry, I can't do math. So we're less than half a year away from potentially one of their bigger box office hits if it does land. I'm in between business decision and silent retcon, right? Like I still believe, again, that article was totally clickbait, but I still believe, like Nick was saying, like they're not gonna like come out and be like, no, we're just we'll redo them if need be, or like they don't count. But I do think they're gonna just try to distance themselves as far as possible, except for maybe some popular characters, right? Kylo Ren's not going anywhere. Rey's not going anywhere. BB-8's not going anywhere. But the rest of it, they're just like, yeah, no, we're good. We did it. We tried it. It didn't work. We're just not gonna waste money re-releasing it, right? Because it's a waste of money. They have to do stuff they have to pay to get these back in the theaters. And honestly, I don't even know if theaters want it. That's the other thing. Maybe they did try to shop it around. Theaters like, yeah, I don't know. Sequels are not really that popular, so we don't want to show it. And they just probably didn't have the people that wanted to show it.
I think the biggest thing is what you mentioned, Pete. Like, don't put this in theaters right now because if this doesn't do well, and then you try to go back to theaters with your big return to theaters in 6 months, 5 months, that's a disaster.
I mean,
We were just there 5 months ago, and no one went to go see your re-release, and now you're going to come back. People are going to be fed up.
I think it's a trickier spot with the holidays, with Avatar out.
That's all true too. Yeah.
I think like if it was a May release, I think they may have tried it. But I do think they're worried about that. And I do think to a lesser degree with this movie, like to Pete's point, I think this is a little bit of like Homer Simpson backing into the bush here with the sequel trilogy. And it's just interesting considering like the online pent up demand about the Hunt for Ben Solo situation. So like you wonder here, like if they had this out, people went to see it, would they have reconsidered their stance on Ben Solo?
It's the characters, not the movie. I
Yeah,
don't think people have a problem with the characters, right? I'm not saying Ray's not a bad character. It's the way it was executed. Kylo Ren is a great character. You can 100% do great things with these characters. It's just the movies they're in.
yeah.
That's the problem. Han Solo is a great character. Why didn't Solo do better?
There's a lot of reasons for that.
It's no, but
Also,
but it's the movie. It's not the character.
they also like you don't have to release it on the anniversary. It needed to come out sometime this year.
Yeah,
They could have done this in May.
they could do this Thanksgiving weekend.
They could have did this anytime in 2025. They chose not to.
Yeah, they chose not to here, so we'll see what's going on here at this one. But I think a good place to leave the conversation. But next week we're gonna wrap up the year for podcast 2025 review. We'll talk some Skeleton Crew, we'll talk Andor, all the content we got this year. So fun stuff coming next week on the annual year in review podcast.
That's crazy that Skeleton Crew is going to be included. I feel like that was 3 years ago.
Yeah, because infamously
Long year.
I mean, infamously last year we recorded year in review before it came out because like we were said, okay, like this like it's gonna split 24, 25. Let's do the entire thing instead of talking about 4 episodes of Skeleton Crew at the end of 24.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's coming next week. I think that's coming on here. Pete, people want to follow you on social media. I'm gonna do that.
At Consy29 on Twitter, CONSY29, AP Tyler 308 created the background, posted the background. You see behind me on Reddit, so make sure you check them out.
Nick, one more time. People want to follow us on social media. I'm gonna do that.
Follow at Sky Guys Podcast all over social media at skyguyspod@gmail.com if you'd like to email the pod.
Yeah, you can also follow me on social media, mphillips331. It's MPHILIPS331. As you go around the Just End the Suffering podcast, we're getting ready for the college football playoff, Nick. Like, who's your pick to win the CFP bracket?
I would like Miami to win, but I think Georgia will win.
So you're having Miami guy in the field.
Yes, I'll be rooting for them, but my prediction is Georgia.
Okay, we'll see what happens there. We'll be back next week to wrap up the year in podcasting. But until then, may the force be with you.